Alright guys, what's up vlog? Welcome back. It's going to be my second episode of the vlog. I'm back at college, so today we're going to be playing another small stakes cash game. Good, solid college home game. Blinds are going to be 25 cents, 25 cents. And I think I'm going to buy in for $50, so watch me either turn my sand into gold or lose it all. Also, I wanted to quickly explain the chip setup that you see in these home videos. I think you're going to be seeing more of this. So going forward, I just wanted to explain to you guys our chip denominations. We got our 25s, our 100s, and our 500s. For most of you degenerates, that would be a $500 chip, and a $100 chip, and a $25 chip. Not us, not me, no way. What you see is all in terms of cents, so the 25 is a 25-cent chip, the 100 is a $1 chip, and the 500 is a $5 chip. So that's how we break this game down. Now that that's thoroughly explained, let's get into the vlog.
Are you gonna talk shit about us in the vlog?
Yeah.
Like,
Call you all bad rags.
I'm in the big blind.
I mean, on the bright
the
side,
worst kid at the table.
on the bright side, we're gonna get to understand how he thinks we play.
Alright, I'm sitting at a poker table with myself and 6 other kids who probably can't dress themselves in the morning. First hand of the night, we look down at King Deuce offsuit. We got a middle position open, or limp. The blinds check. I'm in the big blind. Small blind checks it over to me. I check in flow, and the original limper bets 75 cents, so pot size bet. With top pair no kicker, I have a pretty clear call here. Turn comes the 6 of hearts. I check again, and the middle position player bets $3 into the pot. I call. River comes the 9 of spades, completing the flush, completing some straight draws. I check for a third time. Middle position player bets $5 here, and I just pretty quickly fold my hand. Top pair no kicker, probably not very good on this super wet dynamic board, so we let it go pretty quickly. Next hand, we look down at 7-2 offsuit. Beautiful hand. The 7-2 game is on. It's got to be offsuit. Everybody pays you $1 if you win. That being said, it folds to me in the button. I raise to $1. Both of the blinds come along, and we see a flop of ace, jack, 3, 2 hearts. They both check. I bet 150, and just like that, easiest dollar times 6 of my life. They both fold. Everybody pays up. You know, we show our dominance a little bit. You both folded? I'll take $1 from everybody, please. Oh. This next hand, we see some craziness. We got a 50-cent straddle. We have a double straddle from myself to $1, and we even have the triple straddle from the player to my left to $2. Following that, the cutoff, the button, the small blind, and the big blind all call the $2. I look at my hand, king queen, it's pretty good. I'm going to attack all this dead money. When it gets back to me in the double straddle, I quickly make it $8 to go. Following my squeeze, the cutoff player quickly jams his stack in the middle for a total of $14. It folds back to me, and here's a quick math lesson for you guys. So we got the $14 jam, and then we got my $8 squeeze. Additionally, we also have $8 in the middle of dead money, and then another 50 cents from the original straddler. So that's $8.50 in dead money altogether. The entirety of the pot amounts to $30. We're calling 6 to win 30. We only need 20% equity. This is a slam dunk call. We get it in, and we're up against ace jack. We're slightly behind, but it's still a profitable call.
Ace jack.
Once.
Joe,
One time.
What do you have? Ace jack. Good fold.
Diamonds.
Diamonds
diamonds are good for
no
me.
diamonds. Diamonds are covered.
Diamonds. What is that? Ace high.
Obviously, we run things once. Board doesn't go our way. We lose the all-in, and we're down about $15 on the session. This next hand, we're going to play some Omaha. I suck at Omaha. We're mixing it up. We're playing dealer's choice. It was my button. I wanted to play Omaha. Why not? Let's have some fun. So we got 2 limps. The 2 under the gun players, under the gun and +1, both limp. And then a middle position player makes it 225. I call the 225 on the button, and the big blind and the 2 limpers also call. So we're going 4 ways to a flop here. Going multi-way to a flop here, Flop comes 8, Jack 5, 2 diamonds, obvious flush draw on board. One of the original limpers goes ahead and bets $2 into roughly 11, so really small size. I flopped an open-ended draw with a bottom pair. I also have a middle pair in terms of pocket tens, so I have some stuff here. I decide to go ahead and raise my stuff to the tune of 650, and I get called in 2 spots, so we're going 3 ways to a turn. Turn comes the 9 of hearts, so we improve to 2 pair, 9s and 5s obviously. Some straights come in, but I'm really not too worried about those considering I have 2 10s in my hand, double blocking all of the main straights that I really considered. There is some 6-7, but at the time, wasn't really thinking all too much about that. I thought he had some sort of flush draw, double flush draw maybe, but I thought that, my 2 pair was going to be live for the most part, and even if I am behind, I'm still going to have outs. So I rip it all in for $24, trying to take this down right here. Once I move in, the player to my left pretty quickly calls. He's got 22.75 left in his stack. Other player folds, and unfortunately for us, we're up against 6-7 with 2 hearts and 2 diamonds, so he's got the made straight and then 2 redraws to the flush. We're in really tough shape. We only have a few outs, any 9, any 5, and then some offsuit 7s and queens, but honestly looks pretty grim for us. We run things 3 times, and lucky enough for me, I hit a 5 on the second run out, so I take home a third of this pot. But unfortunately for me, I'm down to $25 in my stack. I'm a gigantic Omaha fish, what can I say? This next hand we pick up pocket jacks in middle position. Very pretty hand to see, super happy with that. We got a +1 raise to $1.50, and I 3-bet to 450. The big blind cold calls our 3-bet, and the original raiser folds, so we're going heads up to a flop. The flop comes Jack 5 deuce. We flop top set. It's the nuts. Super happy with this flop, really no complaints whatsoever. When he checks it over to us, we can go one of 2 ways here. We can bet our hand for value, but we can also get a little tricky with it and check back. I do end up liking this play more when we are in position. We're still going to have a fantastic chance to build a pot on the turn in the river, and overall I like this play because we are going to get worse hands to maybe make something. The turn comes, the 4 of clubs, completing the flush, so certainly not the greatest turn card for me by any means. However, that being said, it is a low connected board, so I think a lot of those hands would fold pre-flop. So we decide to go ahead and bet $5, roughly half pot. The big blind snap calls, and we're off to a river. The river comes the deuce of diamonds. Absolutely wonderful river card, fills us up. We now have a boat in the best possible fashion. We're only losing to pocket twos here, and much to our amusement, the big blind leads on this river for $6. Not exactly sure what kind of hand this is. I'm not entirely convinced he has a flush draw, but I feel like that's the most likely combination. There's really only one move for us to make here, and it's to raise to a tune of all in. So we go ahead and do that, and the big blind is in the bank. After quite a bit of deliberation, he eventually folds. He looks pretty agonized to make this fold, but nonetheless, we have $45 in our stack once again. We take down a really nice pot here. This next hand, we are under the gun. We look down at the best no-limit Texas Hold'em hand, pocket aces. We go ahead and raise to $1. We get calls from the cutoff, the small blind and the big blind, so we're going 4 ways to a flop. It's always kind of uncomfortable and a little bit displeasing to go multi-ways with pocket aces. But our flop comes pretty safe. Jack 6-3, rainbow board. Not too much to be worried about. So when it checks to me, I go ahead and bet $2 for value. Only the small blind calls, and we're off to a turn card going heads up. The turn card pairs the board. It's another 6. And I remember at the time, I was actually pretty displeased with this turn. I don't really know why. I couldn't really put my finger on it, but I just didn't like it. There was something about it. So the small blind checked to me, and regardless of my feelings on this turn card, I'm still going to bet for value. I bet $6. And out of left field, we get check raise min clicked to $12. Now this player, He's a solid player, he plays reasonably tight, and overall, he has a bunch of tricks up his sleeve. So I was quite confused with this play, and I really didn't know what to do. After some deliberation, I do flick in the call for $12. Let's go see a river. Before the river can come, this player checks in the dark. My brain is officially broken. I have no idea what's going on. In real time, I was having an insanely hard time trying to find bluffs on this board. There was almost no natural draws that would want to check raise, so I pretty much ruled out any sort of draw hand that could make any viable sense. Another thought that came to mind while I was thinking this through was, if he had a bluff, why would he not continue on this river? So after really reflecting on this hand, I sort of pinned him down on some sort of six or something of that nature, something like 5-6 suited, 6-7 suited, something like that. So eventually, I find a very nitty check back on the river. As soon as I go to check back my hand, my camera dies. I run out of storage on my phone, so I'm unable to show you guys proof of what he actually had, but take my word for it, he had pocket threes for the full house. He flopped a set, turned the full house, and we find a really, really good check back on the river here. I'm super happy with this play. We saved ourselves some money, and we very easily could have gotten stacked on the flop. This next hand we have $26 in our stack. We're playing a double straddle pot, so 25, 25, $50. We look down at ace queen of spades. It folds to the small blind who calls the $1. The big blind calls as well, and we squeeze things up to $4. The original double straddle folds, small blind folds, and the big blind calls, going heads up to a flop. The flop comes jack deuce deuce. Big blind checks to us, and we go ahead and c-bet for $350. The big blind calls our $350, and we're off to a turn. Villain checks it over to us once again, and I pretty quickly put in the all-in. It's about $18.50. I'm clearly bluffing. We're targeting a jack-x here or some other pocket pairs, trying to get that to fold. I really didn't consider any 2x in his range or any king-x because the king-x wouldn't float on the flop. We block hands like queen-jack, king-queen, ace-king, and ace-2 suited. Additionally, as played, we're at the very bottom of our range. So given all those factors, we are all in as a bluff, and we get snap called
I'm behind.
by queen 2 of diamonds. This player decided to float the $4 with queen 2 suited. Not really a play I personally would make, but, you know, sometimes it works. We run things twice. I have 3 outs. We lose both, and it's time to rebuy. Alright, so we go ahead and rebuy for $100. I actually missed a few hands that I won, pretty reasonable pots too. My phone was running out of storage like crazy, so I missed a few good hands. I remember I picked up a solid hand with pocket tens, made a few bucks. So we're going forward, we have like $125, $130 in the stack. Alright vlog, so I'm on pizza break right now. Hopefully I can turn things around after this delicious little pizza. Alright, back from break. Just ate a whole pizza. Feeling good. Feeling rejuvenated, vitalized. Let's spin this thing up. Alright, this next hand, we're playing PLO, Deuces Wild. This is around the time of night when we start to play silly games like this, and this is certainly one of the silliest. So the 2 is wild, meaning it can be anything, any suit, any card. Whatever you need it to be, you can make it that. Same thing with the 2 on the board. If there's a 2 on the board, it can be any card you want it to be. So this definitely causes some action. You know, people make really strong hands with this game on, and it's honestly a lot of fun, but it can also be super frustrating. Obviously, this is a super complicated game because the 2 being wild, there's a lot that can happen, so trying to think these through is really difficult in real time, especially when everybody's playing super quick. Looking back at this hand while I'm editing it, I think I played it really poorly. I probably should have raised this pre-flop, but when the cutoff raises to $1 after a few people limp, I just call out of the big blind. Let's take a flop here going 4 ways. The flop comes jack, king, deuce, rainbow. So we have ace deuce in our hand. That means we're playing ace 10, and then the 2 on the board is our queen, or vice versa. We flopped a nut straight nonetheless. I check in flow, and the middle position player bets the pot for $4. The other two players call the $4, and I decide just to call. There's going to be a lot of redraws here to flushes and full houses and things of that nature. So we just call. We're going to go 4 ways to a turn. The turn comes the 7 of diamonds. I check once again. We now have a flush draw. We have 2 diamonds in our hand, and then we can use that 2 of clubs as anything. So there's our flush draw. And when it gets over to the middle position player, he bets $7.50. I'm starting to think that he could have some sort of boat here. It's also very likely that he could have the same hand as us, or some sort of flush draw as well. The 2 other players involved in the hand also call the $7.50, and I come along as well. This game is so dumb. We're going 4 ways to a river. The river is the 10 of clubs, so there's actually no flush draws now. If it was any other suit, there would be a flush draw on the board given the 2 of clubs, but because the river is a club, there's no flush draw. This pot has grown to be $50, just a really large pot, and for the 3rd time, I begin the action with a check. Middle position player who bet the flop and the turn also checks. The player with the perceived strongest hand checking on the river is a really good sign for our hand. And then one of the players who called flop and turn ends up betting $10 here, folds to us, and we have a decision to make. There's a really strong chance that we're beat by any combination of king deuce, jack deuce, 10 deuce, even 7 deuce. All of these hands would be quads on this board. However, we're calling $10 to win 60, so we really don't need to be right that often for this to be a profitable call. So eventually we flick in the $10. Hopefully he's bluffing. After this, the player who bet the flop and the turn finds the fold. Let's see what we're up against. We flip over our hand, showing him that we have ace-10, and he flips over 2-8 for a worse straight. Somehow, we win this pot. Nice takedown, $70 pot.
10 for
But $10 more I should call.
Alright, so we're playing pot limit Omaha. Deuce is wild once again. We look down at 5-2, 10 king. That's a very good hand in this game. So when the under the gun player bets $2, we 3-bet to $6. Folds back to him. He calls. We're going heads up to a flop.
If you rip all in right now, I'm not calling.
Well, I just made it 6.
Oh, I know, I'm calling the 6.
The flop comes 9-5 queen rainbow. We flop bottom set using 5-2 in our hand. Also have backdoor straight and backdoor flush draws to go along with this as well. Under the gun checks it over to us and we go ahead and bet $7. He calls the 7 and we're off to a turn. The turn comes a jack and we make the nut straight, ironically without using our 2, which is a wild card. He checks to us once again and we go ahead and bet $12. Eventually he verbally folds and we take down the pot. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, that wraps up the session. We were in for $150. We were out for $201 for a nice little profit of $51 on the night. You know, we really bounced back a little bit. We lost our first bullet. It could have gone south, but we stuck it out and we made a nice little profit. Let me know if you guys want to see more videos like this with a bunch of hands, or you just want to see a few hands for shorter videos. Let me know what you think. And yeah, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more on the way.